If you're currently looking to buy or sell a home here in the San Francisco Bay Area, chances are you are probably in that interviewing phase of the process. You're trying to figure out, how do I pick the right realtor for me? In this video, I'm going to go over the #1 characteristic that I would look for when picking a realtor in the San Francisco Bay Area. And it's probably not what you think, because this is a highly overlooked characteristic that you're gonna wanna pay attention to. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Danny Gould. I'm the CEO of the Selling Silicon Valley Group. We're a group of realtors here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And after graduating from Stanford University in 2014, over the last 8 years, I've sold well over $200 million worth of real estate here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Over 250 five-star reviews on Google. You can go check those out. But the question is like, if I were a buyer, if I were a seller, how would you go about picking the right realtor for you? There are a plethora of agents out there, and there are definitely pros and cons to hiring all sorts of realtors. Do you hire the neighborhood expert? Well, makes sense, right? They're the neighborhood experts, so we should hire them because they are going to know more about this neighborhood. Or should we hire our friend? Do we trust them more than anyone else? Or should we give the new kid a shot because he's going to put in more effort and time and energy and he's going to bust his butt to get us what we want? Or should we hire the discount agent because we're going to get a little bit more money in our pocket than we would if we worked with some of the other agents? And every agent is going to meet with you, depending on if you're a buyer or a seller, or if you're doing both. They all have different value propositions, and they're all going to come prepared with different marketing strategies. If you're on the selling side, and if you're on the buying side, you get a whole slew of competency on the buy side. There are buyer's agents who are just glorified door openers, and then there are buyer's agents that actually have unique selling propositions, unique value propositions, like they have access to private networks of agents or channels that provide them with off-market opportunities, which, by the way, my team has access to probably the widest array of off-market opportunities that you could ever find. So if that's something that interests you, you can absolutely reach out to me. But let's just move away from that subject for a second and come back to, how do you pick the right realtor? And the truth is that pretty much every single value proposition that an agent can bring you is a distraction from the main value that an agent can bring you. And when picking a realtor, this is the #1 thing that you should be focused on. And it's actually the thing that is probably the most overlooked from the consumer's perspective. And that is negotiation. Whether you're a buyer or whether you're a seller, the singular greatest asset, the singular greatest attribute that an agent can have is to be an excellent negotiator. Now, what does being an excellent negotiator mean? After all, that can be a fairly subjective metric. And the truth is that different people, so you and your neighbor, might have different preferences when it comes to negotiation style and the type of negotiator that they work with, etc. So I'm not really going to get into like the tactics of negotiating in this video, because I think that's better reserved for probably another video. But in this video, I'm going to give you the easiest way to actually figure out whether or not you're dealing with a competent negotiator. And if you're putting one of the greatest singular financial decisions that you're going to make in the hands of a competent and trustworthy negotiator. When you sit down with an agent for the interview, and I would recommend that whether you are on the buy side or on the listing side, that you do interview multiple agents. This is the best way to make sure that you understand the wide array of competency that is out there in the marketplace. At some point in your conversation with that agent, I would ask them the following question: what is your negotiation strategy? It's a very simple question. And that question is going to tell you exactly the kind of agent that they are. Now, again, I'm not going to get into what the right answer is or what the wrong answer is, or what the right tactics are, or what the wrong tactics are, or what the superior negotiation tactics are. No. Very simply put, your job is to figure out whether or not they have a strategy to begin with. And it'll be pretty easy to figure out. Either they will be caught flat-footed and you will recognize right away that they really don't have a strategy and they just kind of wing it every single time, or they will give you a very concise or precise breakdown of what their normal approach is for your situation. Obviously, it's going to be different on the sell side versus the buy side, but universally speaking, buyer's agents and listing agents, great buyer's agents, great listing agents, both have general strategies that they tailor based on the client's situation. Now, again, I'm not going to get into like what the superior strategy is or what the wrong approach is or whatever, because that's going to also be on you, is to figure out whether or not their strategy speaks to you. Because it's like, hey, does that strategy, is that in alignment with what works for you and what you're looking for in that relationship with your agent. But the point is that you want to work with someone that has a strategy to begin with. Just like if you were going in for surgery and you asked your surgeon, like, what's the plan of attack here? They would give you a very detailed breakdown of like what they're going to do. I'm going to make the incision here and I'm going to go here. Like, they're going to tell you the play-by-play. Same thing with an attorney. If you have a situation, you're going to ask them like, what's the strategy here? And they will give you a general idea of what the strategy is based on your situation. Why? Because they've seen it before. They've done this before. They've done it 1,000 times and they have a strategy. They have an approach. Same thing with a tax strategist. Someone who really knows and understands tax law is going to be able to give you a breakdown with your situation in front of them and tell you, hey, this is a strategy that I propose to minimize the amount of taxes that you have to pay. If you'd expect it from a doctor, if you'd expect it from a lawyer, if you'd expect it from an accountant or tax strategist, why wouldn't you expect that from your agent? Especially when it's one of the most critical financial transactions that you're ever going to make in your entire life. Now, if you're interested in what my typical negotiation strategies are, I've created a one-page downloadable summary of what our tactics are both on the buy side and on the listing side. So you can text the word negotiation to the number down below. We'll get that one-page negotiation strategy summary sent straight back to you. Now, I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on this because I know that every person has a different opinion on this, but if it were me, and I have been in situations before where I've had outside representation outside of myself in real estate transactions, and I have always made sure that the person who's representing me is a great negotiator and that they have a strategy. And so that's the one thing that I've always looked for. So I'm curious to hear what you look for in the comments down below. If you made it this far in the video and you're not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and give us a thumbs up while you're at it. It costs nothing and helps you get notified every single time that we post more videos like this or Bay Area housing market data, which we also post weekly as well. This is Danny Gould, everyone. I'm selling Silicon Valley, and I will catch all of you in the next video.